Hi, everybody. Welcome to the table of fake plants and real vibes. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording. And today we are diving into the brand new sample update for the Arturia Minifreak, a synthesizer, which quite frankly is punching so far above its class, it's kind of obscene. This thing just keeps giving. It sounds astounding. And now we have sample playback, including different kinds of granular engines, which is just cool as hell. I have been spending the last couple days with it, making presets, getting to know these engines, and I want to release this video today as the update comes out so that you can get a head start to understand how these engines work. I have made a bunch of presets, and I will do a little play through of them for you. Okay, let's go to an edit preset, and then I'm going to go to type, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the end here, past wavetable, to sample. So this is the first of the engines. This is the simplest of the engines. By default, it sounds like... wonderful sound. If you're not using the application on your computer alongside this, then to change the sample, you go to Sound Edit and go into OSC, and then scroll down to Sample Select. And here's our sample. So you can see right now it says Piano Pop. One of my favorites is this Kalimba sample. There's actually a whole bunch of samples in here, some percussion ones, sound effects, synths, and stuff like that. We'll get to all those in just a second, but I just want to show you how this engine works. Okay, so our three controls right here. We have wave. That is our start time. We have length. And we have loop. You hear that tiny little loop there? This is like our loop point. So already, I really love that. It's just a really old school sort of like polyphonic sampler thing where the loop point is different for each note because of the speed of the sample. We can reverse our sample if we change our length to all the way -100 and our start time to the end. And I don't know, like, I'm a big fan of that. Let's turn on some delay and then some reverb. And now we have a sound. God, that's nice. And you can modulate these things with the modulation matrix over here. So things like your loop point can be modulated, and your start and end. Just with a simple sample engine, there's a lot that you can do. If I go to Sound Edit and go to OSC and Sample Select, you can hear some of these other samples. Some of these chords are really nice. Isn't that nice? So that's simple sample playback. Let's change to the next engine. Go to Type. Next up is Cloud Grains. In Cloud Grains, the start knob is, again, where you start in the sample. This is a classic granular engine. It uses a trapezoidal grain envelope, which means a tiny little bit of fade on each side and some sustain in the middle. Density knob sets the speed at which the grains are triggered. 2 grains per second at minimum. 50 grains per second at max. You know you want to modulate that, don't you? Chaos sets multiple parameters at once, which is this right here. It changes the size of each grain from a minimum and maximum. It also increases the chances of a random density from 0 at minimum to 100% at max. So now our density here is completely randomized. The starting point of the playhead also is randomized a little bit and a small random pitch. So things get a little chaotic there. If I change this to like something like a voice. That's cool as hell. So let's modulate that. That's timbre. That's one of the controls we have access to by nature over here without having to do an assign. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this up to about 50, and then I'll come over here to our LFO. And I think that's cool as hell. What's up? I tend towards like, you know, ambient and pads with all this kind of stuff, so you'll have to forgive me if it all, you know, kind of just sounds like colorful granular mush. That's what I love to do. Okay, next up is hit grains. This is a clicky and percussive engine with a triangular envelope shape. Okay. So while cloud was that trapezoidal shape, hit is it says it's triangular, but it tends to be a bit sharper in general. You can hear just like how sharp that is compared to that versus that. Now, I went through these in order when I first got this, not knowing what was coming. And I got to this one and I was like, oh my goodness, we can do like cool. Let's pick a different sound for this. Sound, edit, OSC, sample select. And let's pick like this one. Yeah, sure. And then we'll go to wave, which is our start position. And we will say wave. LFO1. So I'm like, oh, cool. We can get like percussive, timed grains out of this, not knowing that later on we actually have multiple engines whose grain generation is tied directly to tempo. This is not tied directly to tempo. But it is cool. Controls are the same, except for the shape knob changes the length of the grains, or the shape length of the grains, basically. So what can we use this for? Let's go into sound edit. Let's pick a different oscillator sample. So let's go to this one. So what I would do here is attach that to an envelope. So that'll be cool. So that is timbre. And we'll have this attached to the cycling envelope. There we go. Oh, you know what we need to do? I'm going to take that start point LFO, and I'm actually going to assign this also to the cycling envelope. There we go. That's cool as hell. If we picked a non-polyphonic one... Let's put some super unison on this. That's pretty damn cool sounding, especially coming out of the frickin' Minifreak, like, for fuck's sake. If we put a word on here, it's gonna sound very weird. Yeah, super cool. So that is hit grains. Next up is frozen.
But first, some demo patches.
Next up is frozen. Oh, this one I was so stoked when we got to it here. Okay, so here's our piano from earlier. Start time. Grain size. Chaos. So you can hear that chaos is kind of moving around the start points. We can call it jitter here. It's the starting point of the playhead, and the gain of each grain is also randomized. We kind of got this, jittering sound. What's cool here is this gives us the ability to move through the sample kind of however we want. So let's pick a different sample. What this sounds like to me, it sounds like old school V-synth time stretching. This is essentially a way to get time stretching with your sample, because if I again modulate this start point with an envelope or with an LFO, then the playback speed stays fixed while the pitches change. So I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to do cyclic envelope for wave, which is our start point, 100%, and then I'll just give this like a little envelope like this. Maybe longer. So those are the same length of time. Sounds fucking wild. This engine, these granular engines really make me wish we had a auto pan engine in here. So I could kind of have these things like snake around in the stereo field. It's gonna be cool as hell. So yeah, this is a very powerful little simple way of doing time stretching. And now we're going in reverse. Sorry, you know I gotta drench everything. God, so cool. Next up is scan. So scan is a fixed density engine with keyboard tracking. So here's our piano. We have our start time. We have our speed. So this is the speed at which the grains are triggered. And we have our chaos knob, which you can pretty much hear what that's going to do. So this one is not going to loop back and forth by default. But you can modulate the start time. I'll have to go and find the preset that I made with this so I can explain to you like how I would use it. Let me do that now. So, in this sound, it's called Scan Blast. There's this sort of techie percussive hit, and I realized I could modulate the granular engine to really kind of go crazy with it. So we have some effects being modulated as well, but if we take a little trip through our mod matrix over here, we're going to notice that LFO1 is going to timbre, which is our scan, and also to our delay time. And LFO2 is going to wave, which is our start knob. So every single time I play one of these, I'm going to get a different interpretation. That's so damn cool. Oh, there's another destination here on our chaos knob for LFO2. So some of these engines are really, really great for those classic granular, smushy, beautiful things. But don't be afraid to get weird with shit, you know? If I change this sound, by the way, we can just kind of get a sense maybe of what this is doing to different sounds. So I will go from tech hit. Maybe I'll go to woodperk. That's cool. Oh, that's rad. I cannot believe that we have this in like a keyboard of this size and price point. It's fucking insane. All right, the next engine is Particle. This is a very interesting one. Probably good for like atonal information. Let's see, sample select, and I'll do kalimba. Okay, so if we go to our little visualization thing here, you're gonna see how it's like shooting particles out. It very much sounds like that. So our start point of the sample, the speed at which the particles are generated, and then the chaos. So if you were to modulate those two, the timbre and the shape, then you could get a sort of dynamic, talky thing. So I'll do that real quick. Timbre we have access to. I'm going to go over to here and go to, let's see, timbre, and turn this up. So there is our LFO working on density of grains. Turn this down a bit. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and change this wave to a smooth sample and hold. That's fantastic. Now, for shape, that doesn't appear here on its own, so we'll go to assign, shape, and then we'll go over here to our shape. You can stay like that. do like that. And then we'll do LFO2 to shape, which is our chaos. Turn that up to about 45 or so. Let's also change this to a smooth random and turn off sync and turn it down. I don't know. I just think that's fun as hell. I'm going to turn these both down a little bit. I don't want them to get like super fast. Oh, you know what it really reminds me of? I was talking about protogens earlier. It reminds me of Bee and Puppy Cat. You ever watched that show, Bee and Puppy Cat? The cat has this like really, really fun sort of like synthesized voice. I did find that maybe a little bit of bit crushing helped quite a bit. So we can go to oscillator 2 here. I'm going to go over to type and destroy with this exploding frog. And what this does now is it's an effect that you run oscillator 1 through. So we have a decimator and a folder. That just gives you a little bit more fun there. Let's change it to a percussive sound, an atonal sound. So maybe like... So we can kind of go a little old school music concrete with this thing. Sounds like someone is just falling up and down the stairs in like some rotating like stairs contraption. I love it. It's the weirdest game of basketball you've ever played. There is, I think, a rating that should be given to synths of like how much they can shitpost. It's very, very important if a synthesizer can shitpost. And I know that Oscillator Sync always tries to make, for instance, a KK slider voice preset on any synthesizer that he is given access to make presets for. I think that's very important. Well, buddy, Oscillator Sync, the KK slider is easy as hell on this one. Next engine is Lick.
But, first, some demo patches.
Lick is a fixed tempo synced engine. So this is where I was like, oh my goodness, I've been trying to make all these like tempo synced things with getting the density just right. But like, here we are. It just frickin' does it. All right. So these are actually tempo synced. If we were to turn on like an ARP, you can hear that it just works with that. So this is how you can get cool rhythmic interpretations of like maybe non-rhythmic material. So I'm going to go into preset. I'm going to go into oscillator, sample select, and let's pick something that is long, like. So with lick on, we can go into our start position here. And I could affect that with like a macro, but let's go ahead and sequence it. So, or modulate it, excuse me. Sync that. Here's our size. That's pretty cool. You could assign that to something like Aftertouch, or you could modulate it. So let's do that. That's timbre. Let's have LFO2 modulate that. That's cool as hell. Create this like dub chord thing here. So that is our cutoff frequency. Let's go to LFO cutoff. And we'll also have LFO1 go to it too. That's cool. So there's a ton you can do with this. You can do percussive sounds. So if I went to like something that was more of a sound effect. And then, you know, you can do weird things with vocals. So yeah, that's a very, very cool engine. And every time we can make cool rhythmic things out of samples, I am here for it. Last but not least is raster, a gradual tempo synced engine with a fixed size. So let's listen to this real quick. So it just kind of stays there. Our density, chaos, and start time. So this is really, really fun. We can get the 16th notes there. Let's go to a different sound. Yup. All right, you know the drill. Wave 1 to LFO 1. All right, that's it for me. I've been obviously playing a lot of demos of this for you and hopefully explained enough for you to get started with these engines. I think this is amazing. I think that I need to spend more time with my Minifreak because every time I do, I'm like, holy crap, we have this in hardware? Like, what the fuck? This is astounding. It just sounds really, really good. The effects are amazing. And yeah, A+ synthesizer. I hope you have fun with the update as well. If you learned something here, give the video a like, thumbs up, all that shit. Check the video description for links to all kinds of fun things that you may enjoy. And I will see you in the next video. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Beans Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.